Throughout history, few figures have fascinated, frightened, and mystified us quite like witches. From ancient pagan healers to Hollywood spellcasters, the image of the witch has evolved in remarkable ways. But where did it all begin? And what does witchcraft mean in the modern world? Let's take a journey into the dark, magical, and misunderstood world of witches and witchcraft. Let's start by examining the origins of witchcraft. The story of witchcraft begins thousands of years ago. Long before the word witch existed, many cultures worshipped goddesses and practiced earth-based religions. Shamans, healers, and wise women used herbs, spells, and rituals to treat illness, predict weather, or guide the tribe spiritually. In ancient Mesopotamia, records from over 4,000 years ago describe magical practitioners using rituals to ward off evil spirits. In ancient Greece and Rome, witches were sometimes feared, but often respected for their knowledge of herbs and the unseen world. Over time, as Christianity spread across Europe, many of these pagan traditions were labeled heretical. The wise woman of the village, once revered, became feared. Healing turned to hexing. Rituals became devil worship. And the witch, as we know her, was born. Now let's look at witches throughout the ages. During the Middle Ages, fear of witchcraft grew rapidly. In the 15th century, the Catholic Church released a book called the Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of Witches. It described how to identify, torture, and punish witches. This book helped ignite centuries of hysteria. From the 1400s to the 1700s, tens of thousands of people, mostly women, were accused of witchcraft and executed across Europe. Witch trials were brutal and based on superstition. If crops failed, someone must have cursed the land. If a child died, someone must have summoned demons. One of the most infamous examples is the Salem witch trials of 1692 in colonial Massachusetts. Fueled by paranoia, religious zeal, and personal grudges, 20 people were executed for witchcraft, many of them entirely innocent. As the Enlightenment took hold in the 1700s and science began to explain more of the natural world, witch trials started to decline. But the fear and the fascination never really went away. Now let's explore how witches have been portrayed in fiction. As real-life persecution faded, witches began to take on new life in stories and folklore. In fairy tales, witches became classic villains. Think of the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz, or the old hag in Hansel and Gretel. They were ugly, evil, and powerful, symbols of the unknown. But not all fictional witches were bad. In many cultures, witches were portrayed as protectors or mentors. The good witch Glinda in The Wizard of Oz is a prime example. Witches became magical beings who could fly, conjure spells, and change the world around them, sometimes for good, sometimes for evil. Now let's dive into witches in movies and TV. Hollywood has given us countless portrayals of witches over the decades. Bewitched charmed audiences with a friendly suburban witch named Samantha who just wanted a normal life. In the 90s, Sabrina the Teenage Witch brought magic to high school. Then there's Hocus Pocus, Practical Magic, The Craft, and of course Harry Potter, all showcasing witches in vastly different ways. From goofy to gothic, terrifying to empowering, witches have taken center stage in pop culture. More recently, shows like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and American Horror Story and have explored darker, more complex sides of witchcraft, blending horror with social commentary. Now let's look at some real-life stories of witches. Not all witches are fictional. Even today, people across the world identify as witches. Now let's look at some real-life stories of witches. Not all witches are fictional. Even today, people across the world identify as witches. In the 20th century, a British man named Gerald Gardner helped revive interest in modern witchcraft. He founded a movement called Wicca, which honors nature, celebrates the seasons, and promotes personal and spiritual growth through rituals and magic. Real-life witches don't ride broomsticks or curse their enemies. Most modern practitioners focus on herbalism, astrology, energy work, or divination. They celebrate the moon phases, honor ancient deities, and work with crystals, candles, and symbols. There are also documented cases of people being accused of witchcraft even in modern times, especially in parts of Africa, India, and Southeast Asia, where superstition still fuels fear. Now let's talk about modern-day witches. Today, witchcraft is more popular than ever. Social media is full of young witches sharing spell jars, tarot readings, and moon rituals. On TikTok, hashtags like #WitchTalk have millions of views. For many, witchcraft is a form of spiritual empowerment. It gives people, especially women and marginalized communities, a way to connect with nature, find personal power, and honor ancient traditions in a modern world. There are covens, solitary witches, and even digital circles of practitioners. Some identify as Wiccan, others as eclectic witches. Some are atheist witches who simply believe in ritual and energy, not gods. The modern witch is no longer feared, but embraced by pop culture, fashion, and even wellness industries. Now the big question: should we be afraid of witches and witchcraft? The truth is, witches have always reflected our deepest fears and desires. They represent the unknown, the outsider, the woman with power, the person who sees what others ignore. Historically, fear of witches has led to terrible violence. But in reality, most so-called witches were healers, midwives, and women who simply didn't fit society's mold. Modern witchcraft is not about evil or harm. It's about intention, ritual, connection, and often healing. Of course, as with any belief system, there are dark corners. But the overwhelming majority of practitioners today follow paths that promote peace, self-growth, and respect for the earth. Let's wrap things up. Witches and witchcraft have traveled an incredible path, from ancient shamans to medieval scapegoats, from fairy tale villains to modern spiritual guides. They've been feared, loved, burned, banned, and celebrated. But through it all, the figure of the witch endures, ever-changing, ever-powerful, and always a mirror of the world around us. So whether you believe in magic or not, one thing is certain: witches are here to stay. And if you love to explore the truths and myths behind the occult, the supernatural and unexplainable legends, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. This is Monster Legends, and we'll see you in the next video.